Welcome to the podcast, Wait, What Do You Do Again? Where we talk to everyday people doing amazing things. I'm your host, Megan DeFord. Let's go. Today we're talking to Vanessa Karel, founder and CEO of Greether, a platform that helps women travel safely around the world. Enjoy. Vanessa, thank you so much for being here today. I am really excited for our conversation. I love travel, and when I ran across your bio, I was so intrigued by the company that you have founded. Can you talk a little bit about what you do and how you started?
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here today and tell you more about my story. I am based in San Francisco and I am the founder of Greether. We are a travel marketplace that helps women travel safer, essentially. And, the way we do this is by connecting female travelers with verified local women who we call greeters. So that's why the name of the company is Greether, having like a play with those two words of our services being for female identified travelers. This way, wherever you're traveling to, you have someone local who can show you and welcome you and greet you, essentially, who's vetted and trustworthy and can provide you with a very personalized travel experience. We know travelers, we're all have different interests and we come from all shapes and sizes, and we feel like travel needed a service that would be easy to customize to each traveler interest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went on the website. I love this idea. I think it's so cool. It's like
Thank you.
Having a friend in a city that you're going to, and if you aren't as comfortable solo traveling, especially as a woman, like this just takes so much, gives you so much ease. Let's put it that way. And I went on the website, and it's cool how you can personalize it. Can you talk a little bit about why do you think people travel solo, or the benefits of traveling solo?
First of all, I think that we are seeing a huge and exciting rise of solo female travelers. In fact, the majority of solo travelers is being done by women, which is really cool. I feel like women finally have enough spending power and feel empowered and encouraged to do it. And research is showing that more than ever, there is a lot of women who are choosing to be independent, childless, and just want to explore by themselves. I think some of the benefits, so many benefits. I obviously am the founder of Greether, so I'm completely biased, but I was a solo traveler before that, right? And I realized, through, let me take you back. So in 2020, I say like I kind of got stranded in Morocco, and which is funny because we were talking about this, right? And a few seconds ago. And, I have traveled a lot by myself solo and before this trip. However, what was different was that it was in a country where, it does bring a lot more safety concerns, first of all. Second of all, it was my first time traveling to a Muslim country on my own. I didn't know anybody and I didn't speak the language. And on top of it, there was a huge travel ban worldwide. And a lot of things were happening left and right and misinformation. Long story short, I just really needed to connect with someone local to feel comfortable. And it's not that I needed a tour guide. I needed someone who could tell me, it's okay if you book your hotel in this neighborhood. It's okay if you take a cab from the airport. You will be fine. Or actually, take train or go to this restaurant. I just wanted that reassurance that you need as a woman. And unfortunately, I did experience a lot of harassment and unfortunate situations throughout my trip in Morocco. However, it is such an incredible destination. And I wish more women felt confident enough to go on their own if they don't have someone to go with, right. Because I was done with having to wait for my friends to have money to go with me or time. Or I was like, what? I have to wait for Prince Charming to come around. Right. I have him now, but regardless, I just was like, no, I want to go whenever I want under my own terms. And I want more women to experience. Why? going back to your question,
Yeah.
because it has helped me so much. I say that solo travel has saved me from depression, from uh, like going into bad relationships, from like taking bad jobs. Like it has saved me, and it has really made me realize what I really don't like and what I like about things, and just get to know myself. And I think it's so important for women to know that we can provide joy to ourselves without other people,
Mm-hmm.
and that you are okay if you're on your own. So for me, building Greether is more of a kind of a movement to say, you do you, girl,
Yeah.
travel. I got you. We have women around you who will welcome you. And, we have seen incredible stories come out from it. So it's been really exciting, to see more women taking on solo travel specifically.
Yeah, it's so empowering to know that you have that resource there. And like you said, not waiting for it to get out of the group chat or not waiting for a partner. If people haven't solo traveled, there is such a joy in the freedom of traveling by yourself,
Yes.
and this is such a silly example, but like, I was walking down the street in Sevilla and I wanted ice cream and I was like, I'm going to get ice cream. It's like, oh, there's a
Yeah.
store and I'm going to go in this. You don't have to ask anybody to do anything. Like there's such a freedom there that you typically don't get. What do you feel like is the biggest difference between traveling solo as a male versus a female? What do you feel like is the biggest sort of difference that you see in that solo travel?
Yeah. Well, oh my God, I've had this conversation so many times. And even with my partner in life, I have told him stories of things that I've had to worry about, and him literally tell me I never had to think about that. So like men don't, I'm not saying that the world isn't unsafe as well for men. It is. And things do happen to men as well, but like they don't have to be as worried about walking alone at night as we are, unfortunately. And also, for example, whenever someone starts asking me like, hey, I'm about to begin solo traveling, give me tips. One of the first things I tell them, so I give a few tips. One of them is try to get a flight where you will land at daytime still, because you don't know, like taxis,
Smart.
whatever, public transportation. That's one thing. Another thing people don't think about is like I try to request a room in a hotel that's not on the first floor. First floor's easier access. Third, if I am traveling solo, I do let the concierge know. I will be coming back around 12. I have had concierges call me to my cell phone to make sure that I was back. Actually, this happened in Morocco too. I experienced Morocco in a really weird way because it was the pandemic and there was no tourists. So I was staying in the hotels just by myself. Like, I had palaces.
Oh my gosh.
It was incredible. But that's it. Like, it did bring a lot of like anxiety, because like you're more vulnerable.
Right.
So yeah, men do have to worry about things, but not necessarily the same things that we do. And I mean, there is so many statistics that point to this. I mean, unfortunately, over 80% of women have experienced some form of harassment or violence when traveling. And we know we don't even have to be traveling to experience such scenarios, unfortunately.
Right. I kind of see the world. I think people are generally good, right?
Yes, same.
But it doesn't mean that you don't have to be aware of your surroundings. And it's, it is exactly like you said, harassment. It's, I can't have that extra glass of wine because I need to make sure that like I'm aware of everything. I want to go out after dark, but it's dark, and I would imagine that your greeters are able to say like, no, it's okay. Or, like give you that sense of security of like, I love what you said about like, is this a good area? Right. And someone else will have that perspective. Unfortunately, I think it's something that women experience internationally.
Globally. It doesn't matter where you are. It just doesn't matter. Unfortunately, I wish we didn't have to lead with that, right? But to be honest, the most exciting thing about Greether is not even just the safety aspect about it. It's just we are still a travel service.
Yeah.
And what you get from it, it's such an authentic experience. So you really get to see a place through the perspective of a local woman.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, but what I say, and I'm really proud of, is that every time you're using Greether, you're supporting women's economy because we employ them. So you make a booking and we take a commission for surviving as a company, vetting them, making sure that you have customer support and whatnot, and finding someone who's available at the time you need them and the day you need them. But the rest of the money goes to them. So we are creating job opportunities and income opportunities for them. And we have been recognized for days globally with awards. And in fact, we were named as one of the most innovative female empowerment travel companies by the UN World Tourism Organization. So they know how impactful this is. So Greether is not just it's not just for solo traveling, it's also for women traveling together.
Yeah.
But it's more of a social impact movement beyond that. Because in the next few years, the majority, there's a huge majority of jobs that will be occupied in the tourism industry. However, still there's a huge discrepancy in between how many men and women are in the industry. Interestingly enough, in tourism, women make the majority of jobs, but they're the least paid. So we are switching that narrative. We're not a top leading decisions or anything. Unfortunately, we are serving at the lower level and we're not getting paid enough. So we have been pissing off some people, of course, because we're switching the rules and we are not necessarily just hunting for licensed female tour guides. And that's why we are called Greether, because I enable the greeters to be flexible. Because when you're traveling, you say you took your first trip to Spain, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just not exactly what you want to have the history of Spain as well, or Valencia or Barcelona, but you also just want the companionship. Someone tell you, hey, girl, you should go to this restaurant, or if you want to go salsa dancing, go to this bar, So it's more like the insiders, and we call it your local bestie anywhere you're going to.
Yeah. It's so much more than a tour guide. It almost feels like this concierge service that you're getting. Two things that you said from an economic standpoint. I would love to talk to whoever does your taxes. That's fascinating to me. But,
oh my God.
But no, that's a totally different podcast. You're like, no, we're not talking about that. But I guess two things that you said that's interesting. When I was on your website, I saw the term ethical tourism. Can you talk about what is ethical tourism and how are you participating in that?
Yeah. So, I think sustainability people think that to be a sustainable traveler, you're choosing eco-lodges and recycling and bring your water bottle. Yes. Recyclable water bottle,
Right.
It is part of it, of course, but a huge contribution to creating a more sustainable world is by actually it's incredible, but with gender equality. And so one of the ways that we're a for progress company, that means that our mission is aligned with some of the most needed and fundamental development goals. One is reducing safety risk for women, period. No company in the world can assure you that everything is going to be safe, but at least we're taking steps to reduce risk. And also creating job opportunities for women through sustainable tourism. How we are sustainable? I mean, first of all, you're literally just creating jobs for women. That just begins, Second of all, our greeters, every time they have a traveler, they show you ways to use public transportation, and also a good way for you to discover local shops. I was literally just in Tulum a few weeks ago, and our greeter, she was showing us where the artisan shops for souvenirs were.
Nice.
If she hadn't told me, I wouldn't know where to go shop. You just shop at any place. So these are insider things. And she recommended other restaurants that were female owned. So it just goes a long way for you to think about sustainability and how you're making conscious spending when you're traveling. So I think that's part of it, how are you making sure that your money is supporting the local economies and the local communities? And we're not just again, men. Obviously we do support local men as well. And we have partnerships with some of them, and actually in some places I would rather have a male guard next to me, but that's not what it's about, but
Right.
like that's how we are sustainable, and we're excited to see that women are the most conscious about making sustainable and conscious travel decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other question that I had for you, based on a sort of what you were talking about previously, that women make up the majority of tourism employees. Is that what you were? So
Yes.
you are the CEO and founder. How is it at the C-suite level? Are women represented, or are you
We're
a
fighting
minority?
so hard.
Yeah.
I think from when I started Greether to now, which has not been that long. I mean, I started working on Greether like idea stage 2021, and then 2022 started like building. And I would say like last year was our first year of revenue. Like
Right.
first year like that considered like business year.
Yeah.
We did have bookings in 2022, but there were like so few that before we were just like
Sure.
free and we're testing. So like since I began to now, I've seen so many communities of women in travel as leaders get together. Still not enough. I'm constantly the only woman, woman of color on top of it, who is at these meetings or these conferences. We still are fighting. We make the minority, of course, again, and now being in Silicon Valley as a female founder, it's challenging. It comes with a lot of challenges. And what I discovered at the beginning was a lot of gatekeeping. And I think how I see gatekeeping is between women is because we have had such limited access to resources that whenever you get one resource, you just want to keep it to yourself.
Right. Yeah.
So it's almost like survival mode, And I don't believe in that. I call that BS. I hate that. I hate that mentality. I think that we really do win by supporting each other. Like, and actually it's interesting, but at the beginning, you look at the competitors and you're like, who else is doing something in female travel and whatever. And, people think that, oh my God, rivals, right? No, it's great to collaborate. And actually someone who I thought was our biggest competitor, she's doing great. And like, we actually one day met at a conference and we chat, and it was weird. It was like meeting someone who but never,
Right.
And she had the same feeling that I did. And then we ended up collaborating and doing an event together. And now every now and then, and we're cheering each other on LinkedIn, and she raises money. That's great news for me, because that means that investors will be like, okay, other people are investing in this. This makes sense. So that's what people don't realize, that people at the top are collaborating, and that's good. And that's how you win. So I learned that. I mean, I didn't know that, so it's interesting.
I think it's more common to think of that scarcity, sort of like, if I have it, I've got to keep it, versus I've got 2 kids, so I apologize. But I always say there's always room on the broom. There's this children's book where like, and I'm like, but there's always room for that positive, like you said, that positive competition, for helping each other. And I think that's something that's beautiful, that you're participating in that. And like you said, that sort of like rising tide raises all ships. And if she's making money, or if you're getting investors, it's helping the industry as a whole. Do you feel like, as a female CEO and a woman of color, that you see travel differently than some of your other peers, or how has that impacted how you started your company?
100%. And I think it makes me feel more empathetic about diverse groups of travelers. I mean, what we're doing at Greether is really exciting, but I want to do more, because there's travelers with disabilities, who aren't able to travel as normal as you and I maybe are. There's people with invisible disabilities.
Yes.
We have travelers, really exciting, by the way, that are older women who are using us. And so now I consider Greether to be a travel age tech as well, because, we are also serving this demographic of travelers who other, companies are ignoring entirely.
Yeah.
And I feel like being an underdog in some way makes you notice other things that are wrong in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the tourism industry, it hasn't been disrupted that much.
Yeah.
Airbnb exists, and it took them a while, right? Like everybody said no to them, and like they laughed at their faces. But look at what it's become now. So
Right.
I think there's still so much room for growth. I mean, there is this amazing company called Wheel the World, who are going to be the leaders and are rising to that for making travel more inclusive for people with disabilities, people with wheelchairs. So there's some, and he's also a founder of Color and a Latino founder and a founder with a disability, you know? So I think having that, I guess disadvantage is an advantage.
An advantage, yeah. And again, it goes back to what we were saying of like, there's room, right? There's room for everyone. How many cities are you in?
Yeah, we are currently in over 1,000 cities in over 100 countries.
Wow.
So basically, I say that like you can probably find a greeter in most of the top touristic destinations. We do have a request a greeter if you go to our search bar on homepage and you type, I don't know, a random city that you're going to, and then we don't have a greeter. If it doesn't pop up basically and then it shows request a greeter, it means we don't have one there or we don't have enough for you to make an automatic booking. So in some cases we do allow, to request one if we have enough time and bandwidth and it's a destination where we feel like it's worth it, like for us to build a community, we find you one. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of options right now. And I began Greether thinking, because it came from that experience I had in Morocco. And I was like, I want to go to Egypt. I want to go to Bolivia. But like, I'm kind of like that. And my parents were like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
But so I thought that travelers would be using us more in remote destinations like that, or I guess not remote, but like more, I don't know.
Less commonly thought of,
more exotic or something. I don't know how to say it. Anyways, where you're a little more worried about your safety.
Sure.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But we have been getting bookings in Iceland and Korea and Japan and Sweden and Switzerland. So it's not just about the safety, but we're realizing that women are excited to connect with women, period. And to have this experience, and you make your own rules. So actually, let's say you're arriving to Marrakesh, and you tell your greeter, can you meet me outside of my hotel? I have time from 12 p.m., and I want you for 2.5 hours. This is the type of activities that I want to be doing. So she tailored, and you're connected to her before your trip, which is super helpful, because you're going to a place you've never been to. You have someone there who can give you like actual data, regardless of, what you can find online or something, So we see questions just like, hey, should I be packing a jacket right now? Or like, hey, I want to get my nails done. Recommend me a place. Like, things that girls we want, to know. Yeah. Or like, I want to find a cutesy restaurant to have dinner at. Recommend me one. So we see all sorts of conversations. And it's really cute. It's really exciting to see friendships being formed as well.
That's awesome. I think that's one of the other things in solo travel or even small group travel of women is like the friends that you make when you travel. I think that's actually one of my favorite things, right? Those connections that you make. How many cities or countries have you traveled to?
Cities, I don't know. I think I've been to over 30 countries.
Wow.
So I don't necessarily have a count, but because I mean, it's great to have I feel privileged to have gone to those places. But now I'm changing. I used to be more like, I want to go and do many countries at once, like within a few. And now I've changed a lot. I think I'm getting tired too, building a company, it's not an easy task.
Not easy.
But so I now appreciate slow travel more than I used to. I used to blah, 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 like 2 days here, 2 days here. And then it's exhausting. And now I try to make an effort to go and stay at one place for a few weeks, or like a month if I have the chance. So last year I worked from Estonia. Wow. And this year I'm trying to do it. I'm deciding between Istanbul or Albania.
Oh, neat.
Just because I want to really get to understand the culture And then I get to meet my greeters, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And then I just have had such a great experience. In Estonia, I met this amazing Pakistani greeter who, after our meetup, like her husband was having a graduation party, and she invited me for their graduation party. And I met all these amazing people, and they hosted me for dinner, and it was like all these things. I call it travel. I always say that I've had travel luck, and
Yeah.
I feel like we Greether, we're enabling travel luck to be unlocked easier,
Yeah.
because otherwise you run the risk of like, is this person stranger? Basically,
Right.
we're meeting strangers. Like, do they have good intentions? And I feel like that's how we're leveling it. And
Yeah.
I like you. I do believe in people being good mostly.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have began a business with strangers, right? But yeah.
Right. You're like, it's, I'm sure other people have seen this tweet about Uber that's like, 1989, don't get into cars with strangers. And now it's like, call a stranger to your house and get in their car.
Exactly.
But it's the same, it's like, it's
and Airbnb too.
Yeah, Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I'm just going to crash at your house, like random person's house. So it's certainly changed a lot. And what you're looking for in travel, of course, changes too. This past spring break, my kids and I went to the Grand Canyon, and it was an unbelievable trip. Like, it was just absolutely incredible. And it really shifted my perception of where I want to take them next, right? Because I was like, oh, like I wanted, in my mind, I was like, I really want to take them to Italy, which, I mean, I like want to live in Italy, but I was like, you know what? So many people I talk to my age, and I'll be 42 in January, like had never been to the Grand Canyon. And they've been to Tokyo, they've been to like really established travelers. But it made me realize, like, we don't go in our own backyards. And I kind of want my kids to experience that. They'll probably get to Italy in college, like that sort of thing. But it's funny how different parts and times in your life, it changes what you're looking for, right? You have been to 30 countries. You started this company. It's so cool. I can't wait to use it.
Thank you.
What would you say, like, got you into travel? Is it something you grew up with, or something you experienced as an adult?
Yeah. First of all, I'm so excited that you're taking your kids on these trips. By the way, we have moms using Greether too. So
That's
you're
what I
able
was
to use.
Yeah. And I'm a
with your kids.
I'm a solo mom, and like I was,
there you go.
And I'm in the US, right? Like I have a comfortability level, but like even we went to Page, Arizona for Horseshoe Bend and Antelope Canyon, and it's tiny, right? And it would have been cool, actually, this service to be like, hey, where should we go to dinner? Where should we go to breakfast? What are the things that we should check out? Are there any parks we should hike? Or, like those kind of things
100%
would be such a game changer. Anyway, how did you get into travel?
So I think I'm excited to see that now. Like, it's becoming trending to travel. Like, everybody's talking about travel, like Instagram, TikTok. Everybody is like a traveler now. I feel when I started traveling, I was the only one of my group, who was solo traveling, and people were looking at me funky because like it was like 15 years ago. But I think I'm thankful because my parents, they put it so much in my brain when I was little, like, you have to travel before, etc. You do X or Y milestone. So I'm really thankful that they prioritize travel experiences of like on top of things or like materialism.
So my parents, prioritize the travel experiences over things, and I'm really thankful for that. So really excited to hear that you're doing that to your kids too, because really did affect who I became as an adult in a good way, I would say. Hope. And my first solo travel trip was when I was 17, and the experience of applying to an internship in Iceland. And so my first solo experience was in Iceland, which was a cultural shock, crazy, because I grew up in Mexico City, and to go to a country where it's actually safe, it was ridiculous. It was like beyond anything I've ever seen. And also it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, probably not the most beautiful place I've seen. And I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. And then I met so many other people who traveled and did it in a type of philanthropical way, like volunteering. And I was like, I want to volunteer. And so I started volunteering whenever I was traveling. And yeah, so my parents really put that in me. My dad is a journalist, so I grew up seeing him
Cool.
a lot for work. And I was
Yeah.
like you. So when I had to choose a career, I wanted to be a journalist, but thank God it didn't go that way because journalism is kind of dead now, unfortunately, or it's changed so much,
It's changed, yeah, so much.
But I went to hospitality business school, and then I dropped out because I wanted to be an artist. So I became a professional photographer, and so this is my second company. Before Greether, I had a media and production agency. Anyways, long story short, I feel like my message here, but with all of this, what I just said is that yes, my parents affected me as being a traveler and conscious traveler. And then also like life has taken so many journeys that I feel like, when you're so young, you feel pressured to decide who you're going to become. But that doesn't mean that that's the end,
Right.
Your life can take so many paths and you can really get to know yourself later in life and switch,
Yeah. I think often we're taught that there's sort of this, linear line to get from point A to point B. And what you get, as if you're fortunate to live long enough, everybody has like side quests and different journeys. And, it's amazing you're on your second company, and it's never just a straight and narrow path. And it's better when it's not a straight and narrow path. What would you say is the country that surprised you the most?
Like in a good way?
Let's do good in a good way.
Good way. Oh God. I don't know. I feel like surprise is an interesting word. I think Morocco has my heart.
Yeah.
And I love the people. But I think surprise, to be honest, China surprised me a lot.
Oh, wow.
China was not on my bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, it was lower in my bucket list. And then, you hear so many things about China, and like a lot of them were true.
Mm-hmm.
Some are not. But I feel like what that taught me was that, it doesn't matter what you read, it doesn't matter which videos or documentaries you read, that you going to that place you can make your own perception of the place. Like you should ignore the noise. You should go and make your own judgment about a place. And to me, it was incredible. I loved it.
Where in China were you?
I was in Shanghai and Nanjing. And the city of Shanghai is beautiful, like the skyline, incredible. And Nanjing had such beautiful places to see. There is this place, I don't remember the name, that's like a Venice of China. And it's literally canals, but like with the Chinese architecture.
Wow.
And so I didn't expect that. I expected there was a lot of traffic and noise and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was incredible to see how they are so like also proud of their culture and to experience that. Yeah, I would say like surprising, that was one of them because I didn't expect much,
Yeah. You're making me like, it's funny you mentioned Istanbul. That's like next on my solo travel list. It is like calling to me. And I love cats. So that's just like a bonus.
Same.
But it's funny because you keep mentioning Morocco and I'm like, oh, maybe. So I got to figure it out. I got to figure out how I'm going to get to like Glacier and Istanbul, Marrakesh. And Mexico City has become so popular. I feel like in the past like 5 years, it has just exploded on the travel scene, at least like in the communities that I'm in. What are you seeing trends right now in travel?
Okay, well, when you mentioned Mexico City, I thought of a scary trend. I think it's good to talk about.
Yeah.
Because there is something that's worrisome in, for example, in places like Mexico City and so many cities where expats are moving to. They're creating so many issues for the actual local people to survive and live there. So it's become really unfortunate to see what's happening in places like that city because, just to begin with, landlords are not trying to rent out or lease their apartments to locals. They're exclusively leasing to Americans or European expats and pushing the local people outside. And so the expats are coming and they're earning dollars and they're earning amounts of money that a Mexican person wouldn't be able to unless they're at top level, and so that's creating an interesting ecosystem there. And I think I'm really conscious about how we promote destinations. One of the places where we get the most bookings in is Italy. And as you said, you want to live in Italy, you love Italy, and everybody loves Italy.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, what's there not to love? But it also worries me, and I'm conscious about also making sure that we spotlight places like, Albania or
Yes.
Estonia, that are incredible destinations that people are not necessarily like, or Belize or
Yeah.
Ecuador, that where
It's like when you read a book that you love and it's like, I need a book that's similar to this. Like I love doing that because Italy is Italy, right? I mean, come on,
Yeah.
carbs, wine, art, it's amazing. But like you said, Albania, Estonia, Croatia, and when you start to explore countries that you don't hear about on those sort of like top destinations, it's a huge world out there. There's so much to see. That's a really interesting point that you make about expats and I'm just going to say American tourists, probably other tourists as well. But I hadn't really thought about that. I mean, I've seen like Barcelona is thinking about, I don't know if they passed is it a fee or a tax? And I know some of the laws have changed in Portugal because of how many expat or Americans are moving there. It seems like it is something that's becoming, I don't want to say a problem, but it's something that needs to be solved. Like you can't just push people out. Like it's their country.
I think you can do it in a conscious way to like make sure that, well, whenever I meet people and they say, I love Mexico City, I so slightly roll my eyes and I'm look, because I grew up in Mexico City.
Sure.
And I know that they're only going to 2 neighborhoods. I know.
Yeah.
I know because I just know. And I ask them and they say, these 3 neighborhoods. I'm not even going to say them. They know they're listening.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand like the whole city, and that's fine. Like, I'm a local in San Francisco. I know the reality here too. There's great things about the city and there's not. So just to be conscious about how you're impacting, and like I would love to move to Portugal, for example.
Yeah.
Like, is this correct? I don't know. It's up for debate.
Yeah.
But just making your choices and thinking about not just like look, think about how do I support other local restaurants that are outside of these neighborhoods, I don't know, employ people here. Then if you're making so much money, great jobs, then something like that,
Yeah, exactly. Well, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to touch on?
Yeah, just a few things. So one of them is we're not just for solo travelers, we're also for a group of women traveling together. So if you have, your girls getaway or you're traveling with your kids, we welcome you. We are open to people or female identified travelers from 18 and above. And so we're not just for the young generations. We have travelers up to 80 years old using
Awesome.
and really is what you want it to be, because our travelers decide the pace and decide the experiences they want to see. And yeah, you can find us on greether.com and reach out if you're an entrepreneur, you want advice, or any, you have any ideas or want to collaborate. We're really open to partnerships and collaborations. If you're a traveler trying to go somewhere, or you're a woman who's always wished to travel solo, come to us.
Awesome. Yeah. I feel like, I hope that someone hears this and it's the push to give them or I guess give them the push to do it. It's life-changing. It's amazing. Get that gelato in Sevilla. It's worth it. What, you have talked about, this is sort of your second act of many to come, and you've had a lot of success, many congratulations on all the success that you've had. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, I think that stay curious and like and disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I always say this, and you listen to all my podcasts, people are probably going like, this is boring. You say the same thing over and over, but it's true. I think passion takes you so far, but discipline has taken me farther because there's days as an entrepreneur where you're tired when things aren't going the right way, or you're getting no's and you have a fire here and a fire there, and you're not getting paid a lot of the times. But if you're disciplined, I've seen more progress because of my discipline than my passion, because passion doesn't feed you, you know?
Right.
So I think that's what I would tell my younger self, and probably save more money. You know? But,
Yeah. I wish I wish I told 18-year-old Megan to save some more money, but you know what? It's fine.
Or like buy stocks in a few stocks, right?
Buy Uber early. No, I think that's great. And yeah, I mean, I think discipline, it's not sexy, but it's what, you know, it gets you those small wins every day that compounds over time, and make sure that you are successful. So what do you love most about the work that you do? And whether it's specifically with Greether or as an entrepreneur, what do you love most?
Seeing the messages from my travelers with their greeters, I love that. Like, it just, you know, whenever I feel like, oh, I should quit, this is too hard, and I read the messages, and I'm like, just yesterday, I saw this message from two older female travelers on their second booking of Greether. They've traveled to Canada with us, and now they are in Istanbul. They were on a cruise, and I would say I hope they don't hear me because I'm gonna gauge their ages, but I think they're mid-60s, early 70s, and they were on a cruise, and then they had a layover on the cruise, you know, in Istanbul. So they had a greeter meet them at the port, and then they had a tour with her. And at the end, they were like, thank you so much. It was incredible to see Istanbul with you. You're a friend to us now. And just like reading that, I'm like, okay, we're doing this right thing. You know, like I was right. This is going to work, you know? So that's just gives me joy every time I see it. I'm like, yes, you know, another friendship formed, another great adventure. I think traveling, what makes traveling exciting, not just the sightseeing, but it's like those little stories that you form with people. Like, hey, guess what? Like when I was traveling in Tanzania, the people in Arusha were incredible, and they offered me this and that, and they were singing it. These are the things that make travel so magical, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Those experiences are what make travel so incredible. And you are creating memories. You are creating those experiences in people's lives. That's really, really amazing.
Thank you.
Well, how can people find you?
Me as a founder, find me on LinkedIn, Vanessa Karel. I'm also on Instagram, same name. And then on our website, there's a founder page where you can get to know more about me and contact me directly on greether.com.
Awesome. This is so great. Thank you so much. I am thrilled that you created this company. I cannot wait to use a greeter. And I just think what you're doing is really incredible and really empowering. So congratulations on your success. And I look forward to cheering you on.
Thank you, Megan. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to Wait, What Do You Do Again? For more information about today's guest, or if you'd like to be on the show, please visit megdeford.com. See you next time.